Are we going?
Yeah, we're,
we're going.
We're going.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Hi, Ben.
How are you, Michael?
I'm very well, thank you. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you too.
Happy Easter 2017 for the people who are listening in.
For the time capsule.
For the time capsule. For the people who have discovered this podcast in 2025 and are now going back and listening to the embarrassing first one.
But with reverence, because we're a huge sensation in the future.
Internet sensations. Even if there is an internet, it's probably not an internet.
It'll be something new.
Brain thing. Anyway.
The everynet.
Benjamin, as you know, being the first podcast, we don't have theme music. So I've written something for us here.
Wonderful.
And I'm just going to go. Let's go straight into the theme music.
Okay, we'll go straight into the theme music.
This is kind of a placeholder, temporary theme music, and obviously this will be improved as we go along.
There's to be a cameo later. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So here we go. It's definitely not just me singing.
Okay.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music, so someone will probably make one up for us. I don't want to name any. Rachel! I hope it's Rachel that does that for the podcast.
That was definitely not you just singing.
No, it was.
Okay.
It was me, Ben.
Okay.
I think people are aware that we're in the same room and you can see me. So I don't.
This is terrible.
Yeah,
you're ruining the illusion.
Let's not lie to
You're
our
ruining
audience.
the illusion.
Let's not lie to our audience.
Let's not.
Especially considering that very same audience is who we need to make the theme music.
True, it would be starting on the wrong foot.
Okay, Ben. So we're doing the first episode here, and we're calling this episode Moonshite, but it's said with a questioning intonation
Because we're not sure.
because we're not sure.
We're not
it
sure.
might be shite,
Could be anything.
but
yeah.
it won't be shite. It might be. Anyway,
We'll
let's
see.
find out. Ben, who even is Moon Knight?
Who even is Moon Knight? Moon Knight is a rather interesting character from the 70s.
Well, that's your opinion, Ben.
Well, to me, he's a rather interesting character from the 70s. Anyway, Moon Knight's first debut was in 1975 in Werewolf by Night, which was one of Marvel's horror-based kind of adventure comic series featuring a space werewolf.
In what way is a first debut different from a second debut?
I suppose if you want to be pedantic, Michael, there is no difference between a first debut and a regular debut. I would edit that out, but there's really no point. So in his first debut, since there's no difference, I'm choosing to use my one.
That's gonna be our first podcast catchphrase.
First debut. He actually became the villain of the piece, and he was sent to hunt the...
Hold on a minute. Say that again. I want to do an overreaction.
the villain of the piece.
The what?
The villain of the piece, Michael.
But I thought he was a hero.
I know. A hero with some very murky beginnings. He was actually a vengeful assassin sent to kill the space werewolf of Werewolf by Night. And he only lasted...
Hold on, I need to interrupt again. I'm very sorry.
It's okay, it's fine.
You can't just throw around the term space werewolf without explaining it. I know, that's not the character we're talking about.
Sorry. Spider-Man's editor in his comics, J. Jonah Jameson, had a nephew that was introduced in the 70s. This nephew was very beloved by J. Jonah Jameson.
Hold on, sorry. Is it definitely his nephew, or are you just saying that because I said it?
I'm going to say nephew because I'm assuming it's his nephew. It could be his son, and I'm not sure which one it is. We'll go back and check it. We'll put it down below in a comment section or something. We'll find something.
So a male blood relative.
A male blood relative of J. Jonah Jameson, assumedly carrying the second name, Jameson, went on one of Marvel Universe's first manned mission to Mars. And while he was there, he found a stone.
Ooh, the Mars Stone.
A Mars Stone, which would later be called the Bloodstone.
Oh, was it called the Mars Stone?
It was the Mars Stone, I think, in the first couple of episodes.
I guess.
And he brought it back to Earth, and nothing happened. Until...
Wow.
Until...
Comics in the 70s were great.
The first full moon.
Oh.
And combining the first full moon with Martian rocks, we got our first space werewolf.
Cool.
And strangely enough, that never really took off past the 70s. And now it's making something of a comeback. The space werewolf has featured in several comics, including Venom's toxin running
Oh, really?
thing. Yeah, he keeps popping up again.
Do you think Marvel own the trademark rights to the term the space werewolf? Because if not, I have an idea for a new podcast.
we could patent that and make a fortune. It is entirely possible. Anyway, to come back to our main character and his first debut. Moon Knight actually only lasted 2 issues in Werewolf by Night. And then due to popular fan demand, was brought back in 1976 with his own original series, where he finally got a background. And the wonderful thing about Moon Knight is he has one of the strangest backgrounds in the Marvel Universe.
Great.
Yes, great. So, he is Mark Spector.
Is he?
He is. And to tie in with his murky beginnings, he had an even more ethically ambiguous background in that he was a mercenary.
Did you say ethically or ethnically?
Ethically.
Okay,
ethically.
Good. Keep it clean.
There's no ethnic questioning going on in this podcast. Just so we're clear. So he's basically a mercenary.
Wow, things are getting murky.
He worked with a group of mercenaries who worked throughout Africa and Egypt, and this was led by a man called Bushman. And it's not Bushman. It's Bushman. Okay? It's Bushman. It is legitimately the second name of this character. Okay?
And he in some way controls bushes?
No, he doesn't. He's just a pretty nasty piece of work in the Marvel Universe.
Okay.
Anyway, he's a soldier of fortune, previously trained as a boxer and soldier.
Who, Bushman?
No, Moon Knight.
Okay.
Moon Knight, Mark Spector. And Mark Spector joins Bushman and his cadre of mercenaries.
No, let's call him Bushman.
Okay, joins Bushman. And he joins them on he joins them in Egypt, where they're hired to look after a temple.
Benjamin.
Yes.
Very few bushes in Egypt.
Very few.
Rendering him powerless.
Rendering Bushman powerless. So they come across an expedition or an archaeological dig.
Okay.
In Egypt, run by 2 people. There is a doctor and his daughter, Marlene. Pay attention to Marlene.
She sounds sexy.
She is to be sexy. She is the sexy love interest of Mark Spector.
Great.
But I digress. Moving on from there. So, pay attention to Marlene. She comes up later.
Okay.
Anyway, Bushman,
yes.
obviously sees all the gold in this temple and decides, no, I'm not protecting this. This is to be mine.
And then he summons a horde of bushes.
To attack the poor unsuspecting doctor.
It's brambles!
Who dies in shrubbery. And then Marvel suffered a very large lawsuit from Monty Python.
Does that happen in Monty
Grail.
Python?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Shrubbery. This happens. Anyway, the doctor objects to Bushman's looting of the pyramid.
His name is Bushman.
And his punishment for this is to have his neck snapped by the head mercenary. The doctor,
okay.
father of Marlene, has his neck snapped by Bushman. And this
That's good commitment, Ben.
and this
Good commitment to that word.
So Mark Spector chooses that moment, not least because Marlene is there weeping over her dead father, to grow a conscience, and he objects to Bushman. He then challenges Bushman's right to lead the troop and his actions, and the two have a fight, and he loses.
Oh no.
Because Mark Spector is not yet in peak form.
Right.
Okay? And he is left to die in the desert.
Okay.
Now, Bushman takes everything of use. We're never going to get through this. It's a disaster.
What's this?
Bushman takes everything of use.
I'm having a real hard time keeping this together.
And moves back to civilization. He leaves Mark in the desert. And... I forgot to mention Frenchie. No, I forgot Frenchie.
Oh, we'll come to Frenchie later.
Frenchie is another mercenary who works in this cadre, and he and Mark Spector have a very strong kinship. So Frenchie stays behind when Mark is left to die, and Marlene stays behind when Mark is supposedly left to die and dead. And they leave his body in front of the temple. But what nobody realizes is this is the temple of Khonshu.
Khonshu's real.
Khonshu is real. He is an actual Egyptian deity. And he is the deity of travelers by night.
And the moon.
And the moon god and protector of travelers by night. And he is left there. And then the interesting thing to do with Mark Spector begins. So, he naturally is dying and we have to have some kind of heroic origin. So, Khonshu comes to Mark Spector in his death haze and agrees to bring him back to life if Moon Knight agrees to be his knight on Earth. And because he is the god of the moon.
He's the god of the moon.
And he needs a knight.
What's he going to be called?
Moon Knight. Oh. Shocker. You thought it was Night of the Moon.
No, it's Space Werewolf.
Space Werewolf.
I got my origins mixed up again.
I'm sorry. You gotta stop doing that.
So, Ben, hold on a second. Is Moon Knight just Batman in white clothes?
Now, I think, and Marvel have never admitted this, but I think that Moon Knight is definitely Marvel's attempt to keep up with 70s Silver Age Batman. And I think that's genuinely why he was created. However, I also think that in more recent runs and in his later runs, he has an aspect that Batman doesn't have. And we're going to move on to that now. So, his 70s adventures were very interesting because he created two alter egos to serve him better when he returned to New York. He returned to New York, by the way, after becoming the Knight of the Moon.
Because everything happens in New York.
Everything happens in New York. It's big, it's
Maybe
spacious.
he gets a slice.
Yeah, he gets a slice and
Some
then fights
cheesecake.
crime on the side. The white costume was a bad choice for having a slice. But still, tomato sauce blunders aside, he goes back to New York. And he begins to fight crime. But he realizes very, very quickly.
Does he almost get hit by a taxi cab?
He doesn't. He avoids taxi cabs. He's rather nimble in his new Moon Knight form. So he avoids taxi cabs and sticks generally to roofs. Not unlike a certain DC superhero.
Daredevil. Daredevil.
No, Superman. Moving on from there. So he creates two new identities for himself. Steve Grant and Jake Lockley.
Who are they?
Steve Grant is the millionaire kind of shoulder-rubbing socialite.
So hold on a second. I don't know how well this mic is going to pick up me fake coughing as I say something. So imagine Bruce Wayne.
I think that pretty much, I think that's fair.
Okay.
So he creates this man because, as we all know, when crimes are being planned in New York, it's done at cocktail parties.
Socialites.
With martinis and socialites and things like that. And then he realised that doing all his spying on criminal classes at high-rise parties was no use. So he created a second identity, which was Jake Lockley, a New York City cab driver.
Oi!
Who could listen in intently while he drove his cab.
Have a slice.
And no one suspects a cabbie. So he became Jake Lockley and did that as well. So he ended up having three different identities. He had Steve Grant, billionaire socialite. Jake Lockley,
sure,
New York City cab driver.
With a slice.
And Moon Knight, the errant hero who works for Khonshu. Okay? And so this went quite well for some time. And they started to show a little bit of strain on Mark Spector's identity. And towards the end of his initial run, or his first debut run, if you will, he actually begins to fracture a little bit. And then, unfortunately, his sales aren't so good, so Marvel kind of goes, you're done. And they get rid of him.
Get out of here, white Batman.
Yeah, so it kind of all falls apart for good old Moon Knight, and that kind of sucks. But then, they decide to give him a go again, because Batman sales picked up, and they thought, we have a white costume vigilante to take it on. So they brought him back in 1985, and they brought him back as the Fist of Khonshu. Not to be confused with Iron Fist. Not at all similar.
I'm doing a fist.
There is a fist.
At Ben, I'm doing a fist at him.
You have to picture it in your listener's eye. Your listener's
you
eye.
You have surprisingly big hands.
I do. They are very
hands
big
are bigger
hands.
than mine.
I have very big hands.
That's weird.
I know, it is bizarre.
Is that a congenital thing?
They don't even match my wrists. My wrists are quite slender. My fists are rather big. It's like the Hulk hands that you can buy, but in fleshy human colour.
Oh,
shovel hands, I like to think of them as. So anyway, they bring him back as the Fist of Khonshu. And the mistake that they make this time is that they try to make him more of a superhero. So I think readers kind of objected to the mystical angle in the first run with Moon Knight. And so they thought that the way to fix this would be to make him more superhero-y. So they brought him back. And this time he had a giant Egyptian ankh on his chest. I don't know, you can't see this, but I am pointing to my chest as if you can.
Well, when people are seeing the YouTube version, they'll see an ankh.
They'll see an ankh.
For the people who don't know what an ankh is.
It's an ancient symbol of Egypt.
It's an Egyptian cross.
Yeah, basically.
It's an Egyptian cross.
So he bears the ankh upon his chest, and then they give him a series of weapons. So as to further distance him from Batman, he has a series of Egyptian-themed weapons. He has tiny little silver moon crescents that are kind of like batarangs.
Moonarangs.
He has a baton which doubles as a grappling hook.
But surely it's not called a baton, it would be a moon.
I think it's his moon baton. I don't think he was even that creative. And he had other various Egyptian-themed weapons. And this series actually tanked. It didn't do well at all, and it was cancelled after six issues.
Would it have been better if he had a moon-themed tank?
I would have read it more if it had it.
When was this? Were you alive?
This was no, I wasn't alive, but I would have picked it up in retrospect. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he failed again as Marvel's Batman. Mm-hmm.
The one group of people who might listen to this who don't already know us are Moon Knight fans, and you're going out of your way to annoy them.
I really don't care much for your adoration of Moon Knight, but the good news is it gets better. Okay,
it gets better.
So after that, in 1989, we're just going to skip all over this because once we go from 1989 through the 90s, Moon Knight doesn't really hold down a solid series. He gets a new series called Mark Spector Moon Knight, and it just doesn't really click again. Khonshu gets brought back in, and the mystical element gets wrapped back in, but there's a whole time travel, timey-wimey, mix-up thing in the middle. He joins the West Coast Avengers, and then all he really is a cameo, West Coast, to try and be cool and edgy. Mick did a West Coast symbol with his hand.
But Ben didn't see this. I put my hand under the table first to manipulate my own fingers into position.
It looked very smooth and cool to me. The transition was flawless. And then what happened was he became like a cameo person for many, many years. Moving on from there, he didn't really have a solid point. Marvel brought him back in 2006 under the keen writing of Steve Houston, and he was drawn by David Fincher, so he was super buff and very grimy. And this brought in a really interesting part of his personality. He became ultra-violent. And his run in 2006 culminated in him tearing off the previously mentioned Bushman. He carved his face off with one of the silver moon crescents that he throws at people. And so people kind of backed away from it then. They were like, oh, that's a bit much. And he gained a reputation as a lunatic. Which is derived from the moon.
Ben, do you want to explain that for the listeners?
Lunatic is the term given to those who are affected by the moon's sway and act a little bit wilder.
So he's a madman.
He's a madman.
He's some sort of
like
madman.
Bushman.
He's some sort of moon-influenced madman. Okay, thank you very much, Ben. I'm going to stop you before you get to the latest.
It's absolutely fine.
Latest series, because what we're here really is this has been in my head for a few weeks, and I have to get it out before I physically explode. So this has been in my head for a few weeks. So I have to get it out before I physically explode. I had to say that again because Ben told me I was too close to the mic. So he might edit that bit out.
I think I'm going to leave it in.
Or he might leave it in. Who knows?
Makes you seem a little sillier.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna pitch this to you, Ben.
Wonderful.
I'm gonna pitch you 8-episode Netflix Moon Knight series.
Because Michael does not think that he's a poor man's Batman.
No,
feels he is deserving of his own.
Well, no, hold on a minute. Let's not jump to conclusions here. He might be a poor man's Batman, but we're going to play to that. We're going to play to that. That's going to come into it. That's all. Okay. Look, it all comes together. It's multiple threads. Everything comes together. So, as you know, Ben, science has determined that 8 episodes is the optimum number of episodes for any TV show.
It truly is.
So we're going to go with 8 episodes. Huh. I'm going to give you a little episode by episode breakdown. let's start with episode 1. So, episode 1. I'll tell you the name of the episode at the end. But episode 1 opens on a face. A kind of dishevelled looking face. It's the face of noted actor whose name I've forgotten to write down.
Rami.
I can't. Oh, I'm going to have to give it a Google.
It's Mr.
I've forgotten his name.
Yeah,
the guy from
give it a
Mr.
quick-
Robot.
Yeah, he's from Mr. Robot. I was going to say Mr. Nobody.
I've forgotten his name. The guy from Mr. Robot. You know the guy.
Rami.
He's the one everybody wants to play Moonlight. What's his name?
Rami Malek.
Rami Malek.
Rami
yes.
Malek. There it
so
is. God bless Google.
Google's the best. We're not sponsored by Google. Google, if you do want to sponsor us, email us. Link is in the description.
Please do. I'm hungry.
Yeah. So it opens on the much more dishevelled face of Rami Malek. Now, coincidentally, this particular actor happens to be Egyptian American.
Useful.
That is useful. But as I said, look, it all ties together.
Okay,
It all
so
ties
there's a whole thing.
There's no Iron Fist happening here.
There's a whole thing.
Diversity.
Yeah,
look, representation is important.
Equality matters to us here.
But this is going to be... It's a plot. There's the plot. It's all part of the plot. It's all plot-driven, character-driven. Everything's fine. So, it opens, a cold open, if you're with your terminology.
It's a
cold open. It's a cold open on the dishevelled face of this guy. Long hair... Maybe a bit of a withdrawn look in his eyes. Ooh. And we just hear a voice. It's not him speaking. We hear a voice. And the voice says, Mark Spector isn't real.
Ooh.
Steve Grant isn't real.
Ooh.
And then it cuts away.
Nice. Okay, so...
Like, what? Who is that guy?
I'm already involved.
Yeah, we're like who? What? Who even is Mark Spector?
We've been denied 2 guesses.
2.
I made 2 guesses as to who he was, and I was wrong on both.
You were wrong on both of them. Who is it? So, then, complete change of tone. We might have the title scene, but I think first episode, no credits.
No need.
No opening.
No need.
So, we go straight into the same guy, but now he's looking all grisly. He's looking all Zero Dark 30. He's looking all... Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. He's looking all... Give me another mercenary movie.
Soldier of Fortune.
He's got the beard.
He's got the beard.
He's got the long hair.
He's rugged as hell.
Yeah, but we don't want him to look like military.
Oh.
He wants to look mercenary.
Oh, okay. So
Right?
there's no code of honor here.
There's no... Well, hold on. Don't jump to conclusions,
Sorry,
man.
I've jumped ahead. Sorry.
I'm talking more from the
sorry.
equipment point of view.
I see.
He's,
okay.
He's not...
He's not color coordinated.
No, he's not a rank soldier.
There are no
blitzer.
stripes present here.
Exactly. Okay, and we watch as Mark Spector is the same actor, but he looks different.
But he looks different now.
And hopefully, he looks different enough that if you're not really on the ball with this, you're not going to notice they're the same guy.
Okay.
That's the makeup department's job.
That's for them to decide how we're going to handle that.
So, what I'm thinking here is the tone for this segment wants to be somewhere between your Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, your Michael Bay war films, and a little bit of Iron Man.
Ooh, touch of
First
Iron
Iron
Man.
Man.
That wasn't bad. Where they actually had color instead of the neutral palette that Marvel uses for everything.
What my inspiration for this is the is it Afghanistan in Iron Man 1?
I think it's Afghanistan.
Isn't it?
I think that's the phase they were in. Yeah.
Was that the topical war? Anyway,
I hope so.
Little bit of banter, even. So we follow as Mark Spector, this grizzled mercenary, meets the other mercenaries in his unit. Is that what a group of mercenaries is called?
Cadre.
I don't want to say.
You couldn't call them a gang.
Gang. The lads. He meets the lads.
He meets the lads.
And they're a decent set of lads. And one of the lads is French Algerian.
Oh,
So, he's a little French. He talks like that, but, he's...
Topical.
Very Algerian, right?
Topical.
And we follow as this group. So we've got Mark Spector, who's Egyptian American.
Yeah.
We've got the French Algerian guy.
all the boxes.
We've got a bunch of other guys.
Okay.
And 3 of them are American.
Okay, we've got 3
And
Americans.
we
It's
learn
important.
through a briefing that they're going to Libya. hopefully.
I mean, we can make it Libya.
It's important. Libya's beside Egypt, isn't it?
It's not far.
I'm acting like I haven't researched this.
It's not far.
It is. They have a border.
It's like a dart trip.
That's only Irish people are going to even know.
Sorry, it's like a commute.
A commute on
a small town commute
on a inefficient rail system. Anyway, so we learned that they're going into Libya as part of the Libyan civil war as a mercenary unit. I think we can get away with that.
It's not too controversial.
No, it's more timeline. But anyway, we meet the leader of the mercenary unit, and the leader of the mercenary unit is a man called Raoul Bushman. Bushman. And we follow them through a training session, and we see them travelling together, all creating this atmosphere of brotherhood.
A tight unit.
Exactly. But we see a boxing sparring match. And we see the boxing sparring match between Mark and the French-Algerian guy.
I see.
Whose name I've completely forgotten. And we see that Mark's a very good boxer. But one of the American mercenaries interrupts their boxing match and says, like, when are you pussies gonna let us real guys spar? Or something like that. And then there's a bit of pushing and shoving.
A little bit of masculinity.
Exactly. The American guy gets in with Mark. Mark beats him up handily. We see he's a tough guy. We see he's got the boxing skills.
He's got the skills. He's got this.
Then it gets a bit racial.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Exactly. Well, look, it's all relevant. It's all relevant. So this guy, his pride is hurt, and he's confronting two ethnic gentlemen
who aren't from where he's from.
The men who aren't from where he's from,
and he says, it takes.
"You guys, you always stick together." And then Mark's like, "Hey, I'm from Chicago, you asshole." Is that how people from Chicago talk?
It can be in our realm. Like,
yeah,
it's
fine.
Like,
I'm from Chicago, you asshole. Little bit of a Captain America throwback.
There's
right. So then we see them, and they're going off on their first mission in Afghanistan. Yeah. They're raiding a compound or something.
Good.
And this is our first action beat, basically.
Okay, I like it.
And, it's a very typical action movie, 5x5, hand signals, night vision goggles, but realistic.
The whole nine yards.
Yeah. People get clipped with bullets, they go down. There's none of this walking it off.
Oh, we're not walking it off?
No, this is realistic. This is real. This is...
How do we convince people they could fight in war, though? People won't walk away with the sense that they could do this.
Oh, that's very political.
It is very political, isn't it?
Can we get away with that?
It's okay, I'll edit it out. It's fine.
So, anyway, it gets very... it's intense. And in the end, our guys win. A little bit of tension, maybe, in it, where there's maybe a bit of tension between the Arabic mercenaries and the American mercenaries.
Yes, sure.
And they're not necessarily as quick to help each other as they could be.
It's pre-established tension. We've got this.
Exactly, right? So, that's... Then, after that mission, we cut. And now, still episode 1, now we're in grim and gritty New York.
Okay, so we're jumping.
We're jumping.
Okay.
So we're in grim and gritty New York. There are no title cards. Nothing like that.
Again, very tasteful.
We're just, we'll set the scene with scenery or something. I don't know.
like it.
So we're in grim and gritty New York. Things are grim and gritty. There's a guy eating a slice. There's a guy almost being hit by a taxi cab.
Are we going 1980s?
In the sense of the atmosphere of it.
Okay, so we're harking back to a former New York.
Yeah.
That no longer exists, but will for the tone of this show.
Right, exactly. And in this scene, we see a gentleman. We never see his face.
Okay.
But we see him buttoning up a white shirt. We see him putting on a white waistcoat. We see him putting on a white over jacket. Putting on white gloves with knuckle dusters.
Oh, wonderful.
And pulling on a mask. And that's the only time we pan up to his face, we see him pulling on the mask.
Okay.
And then we follow as this guy heads out onto the rooftops and starts running across the rooftops and jumping.
Standard New York vigilante.
And we finish with him scoping out an apartment building.
Nice.
Right? Then, back to Libya.
Okay.
And in Libya, our guys are on their way back from another mission.
Okay.
And as they're on their way back from another mission, they're attacked. Roadside explosive devices, ambush.
Damn IEDs.
And they go off mission. They go off mission and chase the attackers. And unbeknownst to them, but beknownst to us,
we're in on it.
they end up following them into Egypt.
Okay.
Okay.
They've crossed the border.
They've crossed a border.
You're not to do that.
You're not supposed to. It's bad.
You're not to be doing that.
Politics and whatnot.
Down with that sort of thing. That's another reference that only some people will get.
So they cross the border into Egypt.
Okay.
And in Egypt, they keep battling these guys that are chasing them, they're harrying them, the battles back and forth, and they're following them, and they end up at night in this temple structure.
Gee, what temple could that be, Mick?
It's Khonshu. It's Khonshu.
It's Khonshu's temple.
Khonshu's temple.
It's Khonshu's temple.
So, then here's the twist.
Oh, there's
a twist.
I love a twist.
There's always a twist.
I love a twist.
In the twist, all during the firefight in the temple, Raoul Bushman gives an order over the radio, and all of the non-Americans turn on the Americans. And they shoot all of the Americans in the group.
Oh no.
And Mark Spector and his, up to this point, protagonist?
No, it would be
antagonist,
his antagonist.
The guy who pissed him off.
Mr. Pissoff.
Mr. Pissoff. Jonathan Pissoff.
Jonathan Pissoff.
Pissov.
Of the New York Pissoffs.
Of the New York Pissoffs. He's like, hey, what? I know my name's funny. That's why I'm such a dick.
He's compensating. He's compensating for some stuff.
So, they're killed.
Oh no.
They're both killed.
They're
defending each other.
They're both killed.
Oh
no.
And you know who kills them? The French guy.
No.
I know.
I didn't see it coming.
No, you're stunned.
You son of a bitch.
You are stunned.
So you played on my preconceived notions of the character.
Right. Then we see the non-American guys coming into the temple, making sure everything's done, and they put CIA identity on all of the killed Americans. So now Egypt is going to think
that the CIA were illegally operating in Egypt.
And the whole thing was a stitch-up.
Boo! Powder keg of intrigue.
Okay, so they leave Mark.
Yeah.
Mark's dead, he's in the temple.
Mark's done.
And there's nothing special about Mark, except he happens to have died in front of the statue of Khonshu. Which
the slideshow's not working.
Slideshow's not working.
It was.
The slideshow, which is really only for Ben.
it will be for you.
Here we go.
Okay.
Don't look at her. She's later.
Sorry, she's later.
So Mark dies in front of the statue of Khonshu.
Excellent. Khonshu totem in the house.
Right.
Okay, good.
Nice and grim, like
dark, grim, like scary. Grizzled, ancient.
Yeah.
A little bit of dust, maybe spider.
Then some people come in, and they put a silvery white sheet. Over Mark.
Oh my! There's other people.
Right? You never see their faces though.
Okay, no, I'm still involved
and
though.
The final thing that happens before this episode ends is the sheet twitches and the statue of Khonshu's head turns to look at it.
Ooh!
End episode.
Ooh, I'm in.
Are you in?
I'm in. You got me.
Are you in?
You got me.
That's episode 1.
That's a solid pilot.
It's a pretty good pilot.
I'm on board.
Are you in?
I'm in.
You see,
I'm in.
You have to be in. Because episode 2 is weird.
Okay, so I have to basically commit. I'm committing early in the hopes that it gets better.
No, it's... What? What's wrong with the first episode?
Sorry. That was a misspoken phrase. I said it. This one's so good that I'm in, and I'm going to stick it out.
Yeah, even though 2 is going to be weird.
Yeah.
Because 2 is going to be weird.
2's going to be weird, but the comics are weird.
Right.
They get weird.
That's the point.
Listeners, we didn't give you the history of the interesting comics. This is the twist of the whole thing. I am very harsh on 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, and even 2006's Moon Knight. But
what about when he was Captain America?
I didn't like him as Captain America. Is this when he hallucinated Wolverine, Captain America, and Spider-Man as cohorts?
That's not in this.
It's not in this. That came later. There was a whole thing. Basically, his fractured mental state conjured up 3 well-known superheroes. And I think that's kind of where they jumped the shark with Moon Knight completely. And so... But the new run of Moon Knight is fantastic. This ties in perfectly well with that.
Okay, so do you want to know what the episode title for episode 1 was?
Go ahead.
Guess. It was the most compelling sentence from the whole thing.
Kill the Americans?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, we're on a watch list. Oh, we talked about Libya and then Ben said kill the Americans. We're on a watch list. We're sorry, America.
I'm from Chicago.
No, Mark Spector isn't real.
Oh, that was the most compelling sentence. You see, you brought me on a whirlwind narrative and I completely forgot the opening because I was just so involved.
This is what happens.
I have nothing against Americans for anyone who is wiretapping this entire affair. Just so we're clear.
Oh, God.
And Mick is going to paint the house.
So, I haven't... I don't know who would play the French Algerian guy, and I don't know who would play the Bushman.
The Bushman.
The Bushman, I was thinking South African.
Oh, I think we should definitely probably tinker around with that. Mercenary backgrounds are a well-known South African trope in films, aren't they?
Yeah,
we do it a lot.
Could we get DiCaprio?
I'm sure he'd give it a go.
Anyway, okay. So
he's already got his Oscar. Now he's just really cashing in.
Yeah,
he has the Oscar now, so he can do what he wants.
Let's start episode 2.
Yeah.
Okay, episode 2. So, episode 2 opens on the exact same shot as episode 1.
Okay.
So, back to the dishevelled face of Rami Malek.
So we've gone straight back to Rami Malek.
Back to Rami Malek. Remember?
I like Rami. Rami's a tried and tested staple.
But Rami was Mark as well.
Oh, he's Mark. No, he's not Mark. He's real.
Mark Spector is
Mark's
real.
Not real.
Oh, you've turned it back on
real.
me.
I'm here. I'm involved.
You've turned my own thing back on me.
I am along for the ride.
Okay, so we open back on Rami, and we hear the same sentence. Mark Spector isn't real.
Okay.
Steve Grant isn't real.
Okay.
They're your imagination.
So we've added a sentence to our mysterious disembodied voice.
And
I think I know who it is.
Now we pan out, and we are in a mental institute. Now look. This is why the first episode had to catch you, because the second episode in the mental institute, look, these things happen.
It's going to test your loyalty.
People are going to think, oh, it's Iron Fist again.
There's an envelope, it will be pushed.
People are going to say, just do the Iron Fist and escape. And it will be like, he's not the Iron Fist.
He's not the Iron Fist, he's Khonshu's fist.
So then they'll say, do the Khonshu Fist.
Which isn't a martial arts technique.
Well, it is now.
It is, well, it will be, as soon as we work out what it is. It may just be a fist bump between podcast hosts.
So we pan out and we see we're in an interview room. And we have whoever this guy is. He used to be Mark Spector in the other story, but he doesn't appear to be.
But he doesn't
Spector.
appear to be anything like the soldier of fortune we previously encountered, cool, suave, and collected.
And he's sitting opposite a doctor.
Okay.
And ideally, the doctor would be the same doctor from Iron Fist. Do you remember that guy?
Yes,
the
competent guy who understands that mental patients have to be treated with dignity and
he's
care, as opposed to
the weirdest psychiatric doctor in television history.
Just doesn't totally fit with anything at all, or what TV has told us psychiatric wards are, which is sketchy and just awful.
So it's him.
Yes. Okay.
And through, hopefully, a cleverly scripted interview, what better way for an interview than some spotless exposition? So we learn that this guy is Jake Loxley. Is that his name? Did I pronounce it?
Lockley.
Jake Lockley.
Lockley, there's no S. But you did very well.
Thanks. So we learned that this guy is Jake Lockley. And Jake Lockley is a cab driver from New York. And he has had a mental breakdown. And he has had a mental breakdown because he was trapped in his taxi cab.
In his taxi cab?
With his slice.
Some real shady folks driving the cab. Some real shady folks, I'll tell you that.
He was trapped in his taxi cab with a slice by falling debris during the incident.
Oh, the incident!
Which is
we're working the incident in.
You have to get the incident.
For those who are unaware of what the incident is, that is how Netflix shows, the chosen network for this show, refer to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the events of Avengers.
Yeah, so
the event.
We probably not through flashback because that would be too expensive, but through
we don't have time for flashbacks
in a real world. But we see that Jake was trapped in his taxi cab by the Chitauri invasion.
Okay,
he was saved by Thor.
Oh, Thor! We
Thor.
can't. We can get the rights to his hair.
Just from behind.
We can't get his whole. But we can get like the left bicep
we could probably
and
get
some hair.
The other Hemsworth.
He'd stand in for his brother.
Not the one you're thinking of. The other one.
Oh, the other
the third
Hemsworth,
one.
the one who was in Westworld.
That one.
Yeah.
We'll get him.
Older Hemsworth.
Older Hemsworth.
By the way, this is in no way to offend or alienate older Hemsworth if he wants to sponsor the podcast.
Does he have money? What's his name? Look him up on.
Well, he's not giving it to us.
This podcast is brought to you by Liam Hemsworth's brother. Anyway, so okay, he
sidetracked.
He was saved by Thor.
Okay,
and we learned from the Doctor that this has given him a weird psychological break about gods and superheroes.
Okay, sure.
And the Doctor interviews him, and he tries to explain how all this isn't real. He shows him pictures of the incident. He shows him a video clip of
that would be useful to explain things.
Yeah, he shows him a video clip of Thor rescuing him. And
okay, so this is a well-documented
thing.
event.
Yeah, exactly.
Thor saves Cabby.
He's a madman.
Oh, he's a madman.
He's a complete madman. He's a lunatic. Anyway, okay.
It's all tied in.
One of the things that we see here is that we will have some scenes without Jake.
Okay.
And in the scenes without Jake, one, for example, we'll see his doctor talking to one of the other staff of the hospital. Marlene.
She's very pretty.
That's Christina Milian.
It's Christina Milian.
Just so you know, in every pitch I ever make on this podcast, Christina Milian is going to be in it.
I'm perfectly okay with that.
Even if it's like a desert island movie.
Christina Milian, dare I say it, was a formative experience for me. That video involving the oil slick was...
But you're 10 years younger than me, and it was a formative experience for me.
I formed early. I formed early.
Very early.
Very early.
Now I feel weird.
That's why my voice is so deep and loud.
Terrifying.
Years of experience.
Anyway, she's not too glamorous in this scene. She's a
not
hospital
necessary.
worker. No, important that she isn't.
Not necessary.
She is she's a hospital worker, and we see, without Jake being present, that this is real.
Okay, so we're aware that the construct exists outside of Jake's worldview. Okay,
Right.
good.
Okay.
So we've tied it all in.
Then, and this is the big twist, then we go to Jake.
Okay.
I'm doing air quotes.
Air quotes,
Jake in the TV room of the mental institute. And on the TV, he's watching. And as we're watching... Yeah, hold on.
Okay. I'm still with you.
We're going places here. We're going places.
The slideshow has revealed something that has thrown me for a loop.
As we're watching, we see... we'll probably like pan into the TV or something. I'm no director. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out post-production.
We see on screen the same actor again, Rami Malek again.
Okay.
But this time, he's got the high and tight CW haircut.
No.
Right? He's clean shaven. He's got a bit of guy liner.
Oh, okay. So we've CW'd him.
We've CW'd him,
okay.
right? We're even probably filming like from just down, slightly below him, looking up.
In a kind of
heroic sort of pose.
There's a strong score in the background rising.
Right? And we hear, my name is Stephen Grant. Years ago in a previous life, I was a mercenary who died. Then, the Egyptian moon god Khonshu brought me back. And now, I fight crime as Moon Knight. And then we get a CW style. So just for people who don't know what CW is.
No copyright infringement intended, but that does sound very like a show that is on the CW.
Right, okay.
Featuring someone who wears a hood.
Right, like Moonlight.
Moonlight.
We get for people who don't know, CW do Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow.
They handle all of DC's television production in much the same way Netflix handles and ABC handles Marvel.
Right, but in a very different way.
Yes, in a very different way.
Tonally different.
They focus very heavily on comic book tones.
But everything's more glamorous, everything's more clean.
Everyone's a little bit sexier.
5
o'clock shadow is the thing for superheroes.
And that's what we're going to have. Oh. And then we're going to have an opening title scene of this Moon Knight show.
Excellent.
That Jake, in inverted commas, is watching.
Nice. Okay.
Right?
Good. I'm still here. I'm still on board.
Okay.
Still on board.
So, we go into the show, and in the show, it's your typical, that type of show scene where we have Steve Grant.
Steve Grant, who isn't real.
Or is he?
Or is he?
Or isn't he?
This is exactly what we're trying to intrigue.
How will we ever know?
It's all in the air.
How will we know?
I'm hooked.
Probably know after 8 episodes.
We will. Will we? Will we?
Only I know.
We have to get season 2. He's got the notes over the other side of the table. I can't even see.
Will we? I've just written on this page, will we, in big text.
I'm so involved.
Isn't it involving?
I hate how sheepish I am. I just want to see it now.
I know.
It's quite good.
This has been in my brain for weeks.
I'm really worried he's just going to leave the podcast and go right for Netflix.
Who's going to do the dialogue?
Everything.
Anyway, let's get episode 2 done for this episode.
Sorry.
So, we're in the embassy.
The embassy.
Right? And it's your typical CW ballroom party scene.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And we see Steve. And Steve's there in a tuxedo.
Uh-huh.
And he touches his ear and speaks into his earpiece. And when he speaks into his earpiece, we cut away to Marlene.
Oh, Marlene is in the CW.
And Marlene is in the CW show.
Okay.
And this time she's all sexy-like.
Wee-wee-oo.
Exactly.
Yep.
So she's all glamorous. She's all CW'd.
CW'd.
Right? And she is obviously his tech support.
Wonderful.
So he's like, where are the terrorists? Do you think the terrorists are... Someone else will do the accents.
Yeah.
Do you think the terrorists are going to be here?
You're breaking a rule. But the terrorists will possibly be here.
So she's like,
she'll say something like,
Steve, you gotta stop worrying. The terrorists are on the way. That's a lady voice. And anyway,
damn good one.
And then Steve says, "Where's Frenchie?"
Ah!
And she says, "Don't worry, he's with you." And then it cuts to Frenchie saying, "You never trust me, Steve. You know I've got your back." And maybe Frenchie's up on a balcony or something, but inexplicably he's not French anymore. Well, he is still French. He's the same actor, but he's got an American accent now.
He's got an American accent now. The Algerian background is now missing.
No. Well, he's still Algerian because he
looks Algerian.
He's genetically Algerian.
However,
but he's no longer
tonally and accentally.
Right. If this guy's a really good actor, he could even do like an American accent with tiny bits of French.
Okay.
Like an American actor doing a bad French accent might do.
Like a Gambit.
Yeah.
From an X-Men movie.
You call people Sherry.
Fix your accents, Hollywood.
Yeah. Especially Irish. Anyway.
Tom Cruise does not represent our nation.
So our first action beat of this episode. We're still only on episode 2.
We're still only on episode 2.
We're still on episode 2.
We've vastly gone over.
So the first action beat of this episode is the embassy attack scene.
Okay.
And the guys come in on zip lines, smash in through the windows with smoke grenades.
Nice.
And Steve and Frenchie fight them, but in a real CW way.
Very smooth, fluid.
Yeah.
Not looking very painful.
No one gets hurt.
One punch hits.
One punch and they're down.
Yeah.
We have 2 unarmed guys taking out multiple guys with guns because the guys forget to fire the guns.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a high-tension situation. You forget your trigger finger.
You know what I mean?
It's a whole thing.
And then the guys are like, oh! My spleen.
My spleen! My spleen's everywhere.
So, no blood.
No gore.
No blood, no gore.
It's just clean hits.
No real impact. Lots of spinning kicks. Lots of punching the guy in the gut and then doing a roll over him. And then doing a back
flipping
kick.
over another guy.
Yeah.
Clipping him.
Yeah. Maybe wrapping the thing around the guy and then kicking him and he falls.
Some quips.
Oh.
We're going to have some quips.
Loads of quips.
Quips galore.
They'll be like... I can't think of any quips. Dual quip. Hostage. Embassy. Hostage quip.
These parties are always so dull. Something classic ball banter.
Yeah, classic chuck.
Maybe drop the hors d'oeuvres, pick it up, say you're going to finish that, and then punch a guy out. Something like that.
Okay, then that finishes, and we cut back to the character from the first episode in white, who we left outside the apartment building. And we're back in grim and gritty New York.
Oh, so the tone has switched completely again.
Right.
We've done another 180. You were right. This is one that you have to kind of knuckle through.
We got three strands running through the episode.
There are three strands of reality all weaving together here.
Right. So this opens on... maybe we'll have a little bit more scoping around the apartment. We need to see why he wants to get in.
Sure.
And we see that there are people in there. There are possibly human trafficking victims.
Oh, no.
And some mercenaries, but much more realistic looking mercenaries than the last guys. The last guys were these kind of generic...
This is not people dressed by Urban Outfitters mercenaries. This is genuinely, I've had a rough 8 years.
Right, real mercenaries.
Of actual places that are quite dodgy.
Right. And then Mr. White...
Mr. White...
Let's call him that, because we don't know who he is yet.
That's very clever if you make it through to the second episode.
Mr. White... Mr. White kicks the door in.
Okay.
And now we have your requisite Netflix episode 2 corridor fight.
Nice.
But this time it's an entire apartment complex. And Mr. White... It's from the comics!
It's from the comics! Sorry, I was really excited there for half a second. My arms went everywhere. This is an amazing tie-in to an absolutely fantastic issue of the Warren Ellis run on the comics. So unbelievably good. Unbelievably good.
So Mr. Knight kicks the door in, and as he's kicking the door in, we pan up and we see there's a full moon. Is that relevant? I don't know. Is it relevant?
Only time will tell.
Or will it?
Or will it?
Or will it?
That is definitely the name of this episode of the podcast, by the way.
The episode has a name.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Moonshite.
Sorry. We'll have to add another subtitle upon the subtitle upon the subtitle.
Okay, so then we follow him through. Bloody as hell. You know, he's wearing the knuckle dusters. He's wearing a white suit. He's beating people.
It's not so white anymore.
No, it's very... It's covered in blood. That's why it's not so white.
He's been working hard.
He's just like punching his way through. We see a guy throwing a punch at him.
Nice.
And we see it from his perspective, and we see that it's too late to dodge it, so he just puts his forehead into it. And the guy's knuckles smash on his forehead.
Okay.
And he's taking the hit, but the guy's out of the fight then, and he beats him and he takes him by the neck.
This is very much working the not one hit fights anymore. This is an actual fight.
Yeah.
That requires actual strength.
Yeah.
And yet Moon Knight is still prevailing.
Who's Moon Knight, Ben?
Sorry.
Who's Moon Knight?
We have to earmark that for deletion later. Okay, cool. I have that earmarked for deletion after this. I've completely ruined everything. I'm so sorry.
So he's smashing him, and he grabs him by the neck, and he's like knuckle dusters in the face, bang, 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 bang. And as he's banging one guy, the next guy hits him with the butt of the gun.
As he's banging one guy. Sorry, Mick, you're gonna have to tighten that up.
Banging everyone.
He's banging everyone.
He's just banging everyone.
Stay away from that voice. I told you.
Sorry.
Stay away from that voice.
He punches his way through, and he gets clobbered on the back of the head with the butt of a gun.
Oh no!
And he's like stumbling around the place, but
he's taking some hits.
He takes a lot of hits, but in the end, he clears them out, and he breaks down the door, and he sees all of the people who he's going to rescue.
The trafficked,
right? And one of them we just glimpse is Marlene.
Okay,
but not glamorous anymore.
Oh, she ain't so pretty.
Well, she's still pretty.
She's diamond in the rough pretty now.
Bit
of a scrub.
In what sense?
Like she has to be, take a shower.
Oh, it's not like
get Urban Outfitters in to dress her again.
You're not saying she's a scrub.
No, because we don't want no scrubs.
No, she's not the kind of guy who hangs out the passenger side.
of his best friend's ride.
No, it's not her.
Trying to holler at Mark Spector.
Who's Mark Spector, Benjamin?
Sorry, trying to holler at Mr. White. Mr. White.
No, don't edit it. Don't edit it. Look, it's very important that you don't edit this, so
and people
that
realise what a
people
fool,
see what I'm dealing with here.
What a foolish fool you have to put up with.
And we finish episode
Okay.
2 on a phone call.
Okay.
From one of the guys who's managed to crawl out.
Sure.
And he makes the phone call and he's saying some freak in a suit.
Some freak in a suit.
Some freak in a suit busted in, took everyone, and then it cuts to whoever he's speaking. And the person he's speaking to is Raoul Bushman.
Yes. Oh, I'm so just... Oh, man. I
End
want
episode
this.
2.
I want this.
Look, Ben, I think we'll do the rest in the next week's podcast.
I think the rest is for next week. It's unfortunate my rambling intro really ate into your time. But it's important that readers know, or listeners. You're not readers at all.
No, you can't read this.
Your listeners, that they know the history, because we're working a whole lot in.
There's a whole lot
There's
going
a
on
whole
here.
lot going on.
There's
a whole lot going on.
Just one thing that I have to say before we go on is, obviously these aren't my ideas. These are from the comics.
Yeah, no, but they're being adapted and applied to a framework.
That's the point.
Scaffolded, if you will.
Scaffolded, to use the terminology of some industries. The point of this is Mark Spector is complicated. He's convoluted.
He's a complicated man.
But I mean, forget the man. The character is convoluted. No one knew what to do with him.
It's kind of like an Egyptian shaft.
That's the name of episode 2.
Mark Spector's Egyptian shaft.
Yeah. But no, stop confusing me.
I'm sorry. Sorry. I've lowered the tone. I've let us all down.
The point is that we're combining his entire confusing history. But this is a TV show for newcomers, so it has to be
introductory.
It has to be an origin story.
And yet also referential.
And in a way, summarizery.
Yeah, it's got to encompass all of it. The whole.
Look, I don't know where season 2.
Caboodle.
Season 2 will there be a season 2? Who knows where it's going to go?
I mean, let's wait and see.
Yeah,
let's wait. But I think so far, 2 episodes into season 1, you got me.
Yeah. Well, look,
you got me.
This podcast was nearly an hour.
So it was a little long.
Look, don't say that because the listeners will stop listening.
Well, let us know if you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
that's
we need to know.
The most important thing. This is very...
Hold on. Ben says it's the most important thing. It isn't the most important thing. The most important thing is I need to finish this story.
Oh, sorry. Yes, back to...
No, hold on. I mean...
All right.
The most important thing is I need to get this story out of my head.
Because it's really driving him insane.
Yeah.
You can see the pressure on his face here.
I've become a lunatic.
Yes.
I've become a madman.
That's a New York madman.
So we're doing at least 3 of these.
Okay, we're gonna get
Then we can talk about what you want to talk about.
And we'll see how it works. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. Okay, with that in mind, I'm gonna let Mick frantically kind of scribble some more notes so he's ready for the next one.
I'm ready, man.
And
it's all there.
We'll call it quits.
Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Hopefully